Welcome to another episode of the Volatile Project, the School of Mixology. Today I want to talk about Old Fashioned, one of the classics, one of my favorite cocktails of all time, and also one of the most popular cocktails on the planet. It's very simple to make and it's a beautiful drink. Also, it's great for the cold winter times. Right now, we're very close to the Christmas season. Old Fashioned is a great candidate for this season. Old Fashioned is basically an elevated, better way to have bourbon. Bourbon is American whiskey, mostly made of corn, and it has a bite. It has a lot of character. I love it. It's very forgiving for making drinks, but not everybody really likes and enjoys drinking bourbon on its own. So people at some point decided to mix it with a little bit of sugar and a little bit of bitters to make it more palatable. Sugar adds sweetness, and of course bitters that are highly concentrated alcoholic extracts add a little bit of depth of flavor and aromas. We'll talk about how to make infused syrups, and also we'll talk about bitters in different videos. I promise that I make those and post them and share them with you. Now, let's make Old Fashioned. What we need is 2 ounces of bourbon. Also, a 1/4 ounce of sugar syrup or a sugar cube, and 3 to 6 dashes of bitters. Now, we have 3 ingredients, nothing more than that. So let's try to play with those ingredients to make them a little bit more complex, a little bit nicer, and give it a little bit of fun, right? I say Old Fashioned is basically a better presentation of bourbon. So if you want to start with a bourbon that is not that great, you can't expect to have an amazing Old Fashioned, right? So let's start with a great bourbon. Having said that, I started with Evan Williams. It's one of the cheaper, more humbling brands in the market. However, I had this bottle aging in this fresh American oak barrel from Buffalo Trace Distillery for a month. What happens is that the fresh oak and the high ratio of wood to alcohol creates this environment for a chemical reaction between the molecules of alcohol, ethanol, and wood. And it results in developing a lot of very complex, interesting molecules of flavors and aromas in that bourbon in a span of a few weeks. So after a month, this bottle of bourbon is so different and to me so much nicer, smoother, full of flavors of peach and vanilla. It's amazing. So I started with a very good bourbon basically, right? It was a cheaper bourbon. I aged it for a month. It's amazing now. Now you can choose any a little bit more expensive bourbons, like Basil Hayden's one of my favorites. It's an amazing bourbon. Also you can do even a more common bourbon like Jim Beam or Maker's Mark would do great. Anyway, let's move on to syrup. A 1/4 ounce of sugar syrup, nothing more, nothing less. If you do more, it's gonna be too sweet and it kills the whole flavor of bourbon. Now, my sugar syrup is partly infused by coffee beans and partly infused by dried rosemary. I added a little bit of flavor of earthy flavor from rosemary, a little herbal flavor, and also some coffee flavor. It just goes so well with bourbon. Then I have Angostura bitters, the classic standard of bitters in the world. I think that's great for Old Fashioned. Now, as I said, I promised to post a few videos about how to make infused syrups. Super simple, you can do that at home. Now, some people make the Old Fashioned right into the glass. I don't like that. I like to dilute it a little bit and chill it by stirring before pouring over ice in the serving glass. Also, please do yourself and me a favor and please serve your Old Fashioned in a cup or in a short glass with a large king size ice cube. It just changes the whole experience of having an Old Fashioned. Imagine you want to spend sipping your Old Fashioned for 10-15 minutes. If you have just a small bunch of small ice cubes, they're gonna melt and dilute the drink and ruin the character and fabric of an Old Fashioned. However, if you serve it over a large ice cube, it doesn't melt as fast, and also it dilutes and chills the drink just enough, slowly over time. That's what you need. All right, bring the ingredients into my mixing glass and stir it with ice. I have my sugar syrup already prepared and ready to go in my measuring glass. There we go, that's a 1/4 ounce of syrup. As I said, I had it infused with coffee beans and dried rosemary. Now I add my 2 ounces of bourbon. This bourbon smells so good after aging. It's amazing. All right, that's 2 ounces of bourbon, done and done. Now we want to add dashes of Angostura bitters, 3 to 6 dashes. I'll do just 3. 1, 2, 3. Just because I really like to taste the flavor of bourbon. To me, I like to taste and find out and analyze and assess the exact experience of having the spirit itself. So I don't want to overpower the bourbon by adding too many dashes of bitters. But again, you can add a little bit more and mask those bites of bourbon if you like it. Also, I want to add a little small piece of orange zest. It just gives it that extra citrus oil as you stir it, and I love it. It's actually very, very good. Citrus oil goes so well with whiskey, especially for old fashioned. It's great. Now let's stir it. Gotta stir it well for, I would say, a good 10-15 seconds at least. It's very important to kind of make a uniform drink that, in that drink the bourbon and sugar and bitters have completely come together and merged, and that really makes a difference when you drink that and sip that drink. Also, it allows dilution to happen, and having it a little bit, just a little bit diluted and chilled, again, creates a much better experience as you're sipping your old fashioned. All right, I think this should be good enough now. Just a little taste. Amazing. It's just beautiful. I can't wait to drink this. All right, now you're gonna strain it into your serving glass, which is a short glass. Again, please, 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 large king size ice cube. All right. One of the coffee beans from my serving also fell into the glass, which is actually great. It's like a natural garnish now. Also, for garnish, I want to use another orange zest. I already had it peeled and cut into a proper size. What I want to do, because it's a fresh peel and it has a lot of richness of citrus oil in it, I want to splash the citrus oil from this over a flame to make a bed of citrus oil, splash it all over the drink before serving. Trust me, it makes a big difference. Your nose picks up a lot of fresh citrus oil smells as you start drinking it, and that just elevates your experience of drinking this old fashioned. So I have a torch lighter here, and boom, just a little bit of a splash. That's all you need, nothing more, nothing less. And I can smell that citrus oil. It's just beautiful. So then you twist it a little bit and make sure the citrus oil again, whatever is left could splash, and you drop it in. Your beautiful old fashioned is ready. Merry Christmas, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.